Hello there, this is Awhobiwom and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time, you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back again to see another video. So guys, in today's video, we're going to be talking about money. We're going to be talking about money, how to spend it and how to manage it and everything around money. And also I would be answering your most frequently asked question, which is, can you work and school, and while you're working you take your salary or the earnings of your job and pay your fees and all other expenses? So that's what we'll be talking about here today. So guys, without talking too much, let's jump into the gist for today. So with me here today is my friend Udoka, and we'll be talking about this topic together. I decided to bring a second party here because we would be giving two scenarios here. So case A, which is my scenario, would be a situation where I had a sponsor, which in my case were my parents. They had already paid, or they were going to pay my entire tuition, while every other expense, like my living cost, feeding, and every other expense I was going to handle here in Poland was going to be covered by me. While in his case, which is case B, is someone who has already paid the first year, or you've already paid the school fees, and then you have come to Poland and he had to incur the other cost, which is the same as me, but he had an additional cost, which was his school fee for the next academic year. Yeah. So that's what we'll be talking about here today. So I have some questions on my phone. I have some questions on my phone, and I will be asking, of course, we'll be answering it both ways for both cases. Sure. So the first question here would be, how much did you bring, and what was your initial plan of survival with that amount? So if you can tell us the money in naira and in zloty, I would also put like the euro conversion on the screen as well.
Yeah, I came here with probably 500 to 600,000 naira, which is the equivalent of 6,000 zloty. So my plan was to spend at least maximum of 1,000 zloty every month, and I was planning on budgeting that money for like 6 months. So after 6 months, if I don't get a job, I'll be in a big problem.
Okay. So I had a similar ideology as well. I came with 700k, which is 7,000 zloty. So I came with slightly more money than you. So I came with 700,000 naira, which is 7,000 zloty. And I also had plans to spend 1,000 each month. So I had 7 months planned. In my head, I was like, okay, once 7 months is over, then if I don't get something doing, then I am in a very messed up situation.
Because for me, the point was, okay, after 6 months of trying to figure out myself, eventually I will get something doing, and then the next 6 months I will use it to plan how to make money for my next tuition.
So that being said, I would move to the next question, which is, so of course you had already budgeted the 1,000 zloty.
That should include my rent, my feeding expenses, my miscellaneous expenses as well. Okay,
so 1,000 zloty was to cover all your expenses.
Yeah, it was the maximum. I could sometimes spend less than that in a month, and if I spend more, so I will now have to offset it with the next month's budget.
Oh, okay, so so total expenses monthly plus your fees included. So and how did you track these expenses?
Well, I had two accounts. I have a savings account and I have my functional account. So whenever I just moved all my money to my savings account, and then in functional account I moved 1,000 zloty every month. So whenever that money finishes, I know I have done something terrible. So most of the time the target is to ensure that this 1,000 zloty lasts me for 1 month.
Okay. So in my own case, I did not necessarily divide my accounts. I had all my money in one account. However, I was tracking every single penny that I was, every single grocer that I was spending in Poland. So every month I had one of my books somewhere here. I had one of my books where I used to write how much I spent for rent, how much if I went somewhere and got something, I had to write it down.
Actually, I was doing the same, but I was budgeting probably 100 zloty every week. So what I do is I divide 100 zloty into how much is going to come across in a week. So 100 divided by 7. So it should give you probably, I don't know, maybe 15 zloty or 20 zloty. So that way I understand, okay, any day I spend probably like 50 zloty, then the next day I need to offset it badly by staying at home and maybe eating inside and
all of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question I would want to ask is, of course, you had the tuition ahead of you. You had paid 1 year. Yes. So at that point, let's take it that we're on the same, because you had paid, I had paid. So the thing was, we were both operating on the same expense, 1,000 zloty and all of that. Yeah. But at what point did you start saving for your tuition for the next year?
Now, the difference between us is, okay, for instance, you are thinking about probably getting a job, you were not in a hurry. Mine, I had difficulty because I understand that after 6 months, even if I can comfortably feed myself and, pay my rent. However, if I don't get money for my tuition, it still does not make sense. I have to suspend my schooling. So it was a bit challenging for me. So when I came, the goal was not to spend the 6,000 zloty I've budgeted for 6 months. The goal was just to see something doing in order to afford my rent and feeding for that 6 months. That way, that money I came with would now be
remain
part of my tuition.
Okay.
So that was the plan. So when I came in October, I started searching for job. So I looked and looked. By December, I got something, factory job, blue collar job. And yes, by then I've spent 2,000 zloty.
Okay, so let's see. Let's stop. You came in October.
Yes.
So October, November, December. Yeah. So in the 3rd month, yes, you had already taken out 2,000. So we're left with 4,000 zloty. Yes. And
I think I took more than that because
approximately, give or take. And then you now got a factory job in December.
Yes.
So with the earnings now, which brings us now to the earnings from this factory job, could you give us a rough estimate, how much were you earning on a monthly basis working in a factory?
To be honest, it has to do with which days you came and which days you could not come. I was schooling at the same time, so most of the time I was just missing classes that are not so important, or I could read up on my own.
Are you telling my subscribers not to go to class? See, guys, see. Of course, I have an entirely different video where I talk about balancing your work and school life and all of that. It's not easy. There are definitely going to be courses that you're going to skip because you have to work. But at the same time, you should know that the main purpose of you coming is for your studies. Yes. So whatever you want to do, prioritize.
No, actually, I did prioritize my reading.
Yeah, he graduated with a distinction now, so of course.
Yeah, but the thing is, I had to now do the backlogs during my weekend. Any spare moment I have, I use it to complete what I've missed.
I agree with that, because this was also similar for me. Okay, so it was difficult.
Yeah, it was, because then, if I want to make money for my rent and feeding, I have to skip a lot of classes. So it depends on how much I feel like making for that month. However, all the sums I made during my work at the factory was solely to just pay my rent and feed. I could not save anything out of it because it was quite difficult for me.
Oh, okay, so you could not save.
I could save probably 200 zloty, 300 zloty and all that, but it was not enough. Remember, I was not going every day. I was going probably 2 times in a week or 3 times, so it was not so.
Okay, so it's also similar with me in my own case, because I had 7 months, and after 7 months, of course, my school fees are being paid for, but after 7 months, I would not have money to pay for rent or for feeding. So this was also crucial for me. In my own case, I didn't work for the first 3 months, so I came in February. So February, March, April, May. Oh, so 4 months. I didn't work for 4 months. And then in the 5th month, which was June, that was when I got a job with McDonald's. So yeah, I started working in my 5th month because I was near, because remember, I came with 7 months plan. So by 4 months gone, I had only 2,000 zloty left. Okay, 3,000 zloty. So I had to start working. So I started working as well. I think in McDonald's, I was also earning 1,600 per month. Depends on hours too. So I was earning 1,600, so which was going to be okay, because inside 1,600, 1,000 is already going to cover my monthly expenses. So I'll have 600 deficit. Like I'll have extra money to save. So this was good, but it was a difficult job. I've said it before.
Yeah, but working at the factory was also difficult. I mean, you go there by 2 p.m. and come back by 11 p.m. So yeah.
Yeah, the same for me. Okay, so my next question is, so now, how exactly were you able to pay this tuition, knowing that you weren't earning so much and you still had like your regular expenses to cover? So the normal 1,000 was there. How much did you budget in order for you to pay this tuition? Because I think you paid 3,000 euros for your
3,600.
3,600 euros for your school fees.
Yeah.
So how exactly did you get to this amount of money?
Remember, I just told you that when I came, I only spent like 2 months of my 6,000 zloty.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had 4,000 zloty.
Mm-hmm.
So from December, I started working, and the work was able to cover my accommodation expenses as well as my feeding.
Mm-hmm.
So from December, January, February, I was doing the factory work, and then by March, I got an internship job at a big company. However, the pay was not so good. It was still, depending on how many hours you worked, and the maximum hours I could work in a week in a day was 6 hours.
Yeah, because it was an internship. It wasn't a full-time role.
Yes, and again, I was also having to combine school and the whole internship. But funny enough, I think even though COVID happened, it was an unfortunate incident for a lot of people. For me, it was a blessing. Since then, I could now afford to combine schooling, which was now being done online, with working online as well. So most of the time, I was now indoors.
Doing both school and work.
Exactly.
Okay.
So how much was I earning? Roughly, probably 2,200 zloty.
From the internship?
Yes.
What?
I mean, remember I wasn't working like as a staff. And that's that. So I was saving 1,000 zloty every month.
Mm-hmm.
My plan was stretched out.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to save 1,000 zloty every month for the next 12 months.
That
way I can be able to pay my tuition.
Okay. And so 12,000 zloty was your tuition?
No, probably like 14,000.
Okay, but you already had extra from the previous.
My plan was to save 1,000 zloty every month for the next 12 months. Mm-hmm. That was my target plan. However, I also had to understand that my internship was 3 months only, so I was now trying to work harder so that they can extend my internship while study my books and plan myself. So yes, every month 1,000 zloty until the 12th month.
Now I have a question. If you're saving every month 1,000 zloty, what about the expenses? So that brings you to saving 2,000 zloty every month?
Yeah, remember, yes, I told you I was being paid probably 2,200 zloty.
Mm-hmm.
That is net. Bear in mind.
Yeah.
So basically, I was saving 1,000 for tuition, then 1,000 for my expenses.
So okay, your salary was 50-50. Yeah. Yes, right. Yes. Okay. So yeah, that's also similar with me. When it came to my money, when it comes to money generally, I'm very I'm a stingo with money. I'm very proactive, practical, whatever. How did I keep track of my own expenses? So at first, remember, 4 months gone, so I had only 3,000 zloty left. I then took a job at McDonald's, and as at that time, I was earning 1,600. So basically what I was doing was, of course, the normal 1,000 for my expenses, which meant my rent, my bus fares, my miscellaneous, my grocery and all of that, internet, credit. No, I wasn't paying for internet then. Yeah, because the dormitory, we were both staying, this is another part. We were both staying in the student dorms, so it was a lot cheaper and affordable for us. So what I basically did was I was dividing that money. So 1,000 was for my expenditure, and then I had 600, which I was saving aside for my savings.
Yeah, but again, I was also fortunate with the fact that, of course, I spoke with my school to ask them how I can go on the payment plan.
Yeah.
And they told me I can pay in 3 installments. So yes, my goal was to just pay at a bulk, but I still wanted to know that this is my backup plan, so that I don't take all my savings and just pay tuition.
Yeah, this is very important as well. You can just speak to your school and have them give you like a payment plan where you can eventually pay in bits. Okay, so that brings me to some saving tips that helped me, and I think we shared this because we've had this conversation before, and we have like similar understanding of savings. So basically what I do is I basically divide my cash into 3 parts. So every income I make is divided into 3 parts. So we have like 1 part of it. So 1/3 of the money is for my savings, 1/3 of the money is for my rent, and 1/3 of the money is for every other thing. When I say every other thing, I mean running costs. So my house, shopping for the house, enjoyment money, flexi money is all inside that money. So one big rule is, in order to get a house, if you want to rent an apartment, if you cannot, like if your rent, if it is 1/3, if your rent is more than 1/3 of your earnings, then you have no business renting that house.
You're doing something wrong.
Yeah, you're doing something wrong. So 1/3 specifically for house, and make sure not to pass that budget. That's one tip.
You also have to understand it depends on how much you are earning. You have to tell yourself, what do I want? How much do I want to save at a particular month? You tell yourself, okay, this is what I want to save. Then you remove it from whatever you are earning. Then try to survive with the remaining.
So that's more like setting like goals, financial, like saving goals.
Yes.
Like, okay, what I did at the beginning of this year, I made a saving goal that at the end of 2021, I should have X amount of money saved up. I have this application as well that helps me keep track. Stride, I think. It keeps track of every other thing, but I set a reminder that every month end it has to remind me. I had a specific goal. I divided it into 12, the bulk amount divided by 12 months, and how much I would spend, like I would save every month. So that is one way for saving. Another way, which you mentioned, is the auto debit ones.
Yes, I still do that till now. They debit a specific amount of money and place it into one account deposit for me. Yeah. And then at the end of the year, I realize, okay, this is how much.
So another saving tip that I have is, I'm big on sales. Make sure you buy your stuff when they are on sales. So you counter weather shop, if that's a word. Yeah. So you shop for winter items in summer in winter, like that. So that way everything is slashed down and you're buying them at a cheaper rate. Another thing is, when it comes to shopping, is to compare prices. So you go around the shops and try to figure out how much is this, how much is that, and you check and basically buy the cheapest option. As a student, you have no other choice, no other option than to be cheap.
On clothing, I have a tip. I am not saying that I do this, but it happens. There are also, a lot of shops,
thrift shops,
that sell fairly used kind of stuff.
I do. I'm a proud thrifter.
So let it.
I'm a proud thrifter. Yeah, that's another thing. So guys, I have this video where I went to the market here in Wrocław, and things are amazingly cheap there. So that's one. And also, you could go to thrift stores. I think in future I would like do a vlog about when I go to a thrift store and buy okrika. When I go and buy okrika, like I have this very nice bag that I carry around. I bought that bag for like 10 zloty and nobody knows.
Things are cheaper. Nobody can tell that this is
exactly. The next saving tip, this one really helped me, because after some time, when I was done with McDonald's, I got a better job, any more money, so I was able to like up my savings. Remember the 1/3 thing, so I increased my savings and all of that. What I did was, I now had excess money. Now when I do 1/3, what that means is, before my 1/3 was about 533 zloty, but now when I started earning more, I now had like 1/3 more, like it was more. Of course, it was like over maybe 2 times that. So when it now became like that, of course, I now started to feel like I had a lot of money. So what I had to do in order to save money was, I disabled my ATM card. Really? I disabled my card. Yes. I disabled my card and I started withdrawing cash. So I would go, like I budgeted like 100 zloty per week. So I would go to the ATM and I would withdraw 100 zloty and have it for that week. So anything that wants to happen, let it happen. Because at some point, I no longer had control of my
spending.
yeah, because I felt like, oh, now I have.
Yes.
So that's another thing again.
Yes, but then she also said, I mean, when she worked at the factory and then moved to work at, you said you.
Yeah, I worked at McDonald's.
And then
I moved to work in a multinational company.
Yeah, it was nice. I was actually following her. I mean, yes, she moved and I was like, okay, I saw this girl. She came here probably like 5 months before I came. And then she moved to a multinational corporation. I'm like, if she did it, I could possibly do this.
Yeah, I also had people that I used as my own yardstick for movement.
Yeah.
Like I remember in my dorm room, I had these sticky notes. I put them up on my reading table, like because we had like one shelf like that. I put it up there. So every time I'm like just downcast and thinking about this whole work and school thing and how like money and everything, I just look up and I see the names of the 3 people that were like on my on my motivation here in this country. So when I looked at it, I'm like, no, if these guys did it, I can do it. So I also had people like that for my own side. So the next thing is to cut convenience cost. Anything that is conveniencing. See, when you are trying to save for your school fees or you're trying to, you really need to cut some unnecessary buyings. Like go and buy bulk buy things in wholesale and manage your life from there.
It's simple as that. You have to like start cooking more. I mean, and also cut down on your social activity. It is an unfortunate thing to happen, but still you don't have a choice unless you don't want to save so much. I mean, because I'm not saying don't hang out with your guys, but remember, whenever you're still hanging out, there's a likelihood of spending more money. So most times, some weekends, you spend it in solitary confinement in your dorm.
Okay, so my last question for today is, when you eventually made that mark, of course, you made the money, you were able to pay for that. So the question now is, this is the best part, how did it affect your finances when you moved from the menial jobs where you're earning lesser and then you got like a more stable income? How did your expenses, like how did your lifestyle change? Were you still saving the way you were saving aggressively, or you slacked a bit because you were now earning more money?
It can't be helped. I mean, the more money you earn, the less you save. You're still going to be saving, but your expenses will increase. And then when I started earning more, I was thinking of moving from the dormitory to somewhere.
Yeah, it happens. The moment you start earning more, you're like, oh, I'm too expensive for this lifestyle. I can't deal, man. I need my own studio flat.
And I moved. I moved also to a studio apartment. That is the major expenses I'm now making when it comes to rent. But however, my lifestyle, so it's pertains to feeding habits,
still the same,
has not changed so much.
Okay. So me, in my own case, what happened was, like I said, I do 1/3 of everything.
I still save, but I told you my target has always been half.
So 1/3, where you take out the savings, you take out the rent, and then you do every other thing that you have to do. And like I said, I have like a monthly alert that reminds me to like make a saving, because I have a goal, like I have a saving goal for the end of the year. So these tips that we have mentioned, in my own case, helped me to, first of all, I was able to save back my school fees by the time I was done with school. Like when I was graduating, I already had my entire tuition fee saved up. And in his own case,
I was broke.
Calm down.
When I was graduating, I was broke.
Calm down. In his own case, it helped him to pay his tuition and be able to replan his life now that he no longer has that expense.
Yeah, it's a huge expenses to make. I mean, just imagine you saved for 1 year and then you just use it only to pay tuition and then start afresh.
Yeah, it's difficult, but at the end of the day, it's a goal.
Yeah, it was a goal for me.
And the moment that goal is out, now you know that you're done with school. And so whatever money you're making is for whatever the next project is, or whatever investment or saving or whatever you want it for. Yes. So the difference between case A and case B is case A would most likely have more money at the end of the day because you had financial assistance.
It is not a most likely case. It is the case she's going to have more money.
It's going to have more money because you're going to just be saving for the sake of saving. While case B would eventually be able to pay the tuition and those expenses, and at the end of graduation may be left with nothing, like not so much, but you'll be starting on a cleaner slate. Disclaimer, is not a walk in a park. It's not easy.
At all.
It is not easy. See, I do not recommend. Do you recommend this?
No, at a point you get frustrated.
Do you recommend this?
Oh no, I missed out on a lot of things. I was not hanging out with my friends, and I was not having so much time to myself to do other things.
So it's not recommended. It's not like it's impossible, but it's a very difficult thing to do. But at the same time, it's up to you. If you have the finances to, like if you have sponsors who are willing to pay for you, good and fine. But if you don't have and you're able to like whip up the first part and pay and get here, then you can use these tips that we have shared. So yes, guys, that is a wrap. That is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching till this point. If you watched till this point, do not forget, guys, to subscribe. Do not forget to give this video a thumbs up. Do not forget to comment. I'm also open to video recommendations, so feel free to also write whatever recommendations you have. And guys, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.